another day.
Counsel to the federal government, however, disagrees that they are all minors.
These boys that we brought to the court today, all of them are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. Some of them are university graduates. The small kids you are seeing here, they came with some of their parents to come and greet their loved ones. They are not even the real suspect standing trial in this case. These boys were arrested in Kaduna and Zaria. These young boys are trying to destabilize Nigeria using the Russian flags and other countries, calling on the military to remove our president. Is it fair to even remove the state governors that they don't want democracy again? If you don't like democracy, are we forcing you?
And that's counsel for the federal government that day in court when these youngsters were being paraded. I can see the look on Deji's face. But Deji, I have some information here. I did some research about some of the rights of a child. And I remember back in the day when we were pushing for this Child's Right Act at the time to become a law. Rather in different countries. Then it was just a bill we were pushing. A few states were quick states. Now it's necessary that here's the rights of violent developed same freedom of civil assembly, right to private family life, right to freedom of move, very important. Right to freedom right to dignity of the child, on the dignity of the child, right to leisure, recreation, cultural activities, right to health and health services, right to mental care, protection and maintenance, right of a child to free, compulsory, universal primary education, right of a child in need of special protection measure. I wanted to read that out before we come into this conversation. These children had rights. Did the courts, did the police department, the inspectors, all of the people that made that case a thing, including the man that was in front of the television as the representative of the government, was all of these considered when this happened, when these children were put in front of national television and maybe in front of the international media as a spectacle? And if these were not considered, what are the next steps? And did government violate anything?
Well, thank you for the question. When you are playing the clip, I mean, the comments are outrightly ridiculous, and I'm sure that the folly in the comments have been basically confirmed by the government's reversal of the decision and basically rebutting all that was said about them being adults. So, I mean, that just basically closes the chapter. I mean, those are the employers. And if the employers say that they are minors, and of course, that means they are minors. Mm-hmm. All of these rights you talked about are rights that are also guaranteed to every Nigerian in the Constitution. These are, and some of these actions, make a mockery of the fundamental rights we have in Nigeria. Because those rights have been enshrined. They are, of course, every arm of government, every parastatal should ensure that these rights are protected. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. You make a mockery of it, the right to life, right to movement. I mean, a person who's going to go and buy something for his parents at home is arrested without any means of communication to the family. All of those things, are things that we ordinarily should not, take for granted. And of course, we need to thank the civil society for the role that they played. Because what the job that they did, it was how would I say it now? It's about they were sent an errand, but they went too far with it. Because you can't take away the political angle to this story. I'm talking law here now, but of course there's a political background to this story. Because the persons who arranged these kids, who picked them up, they could have done all of these things by themselves without the machinery of state behind them. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't forget that part of the whole conversation. So, but of course, the person who stands before the camera to defend the ridiculousness of the actions, of course, I've been thrown under the bus by his employers to now denounce the actions, to say, they had no idea that was going on. But the government is now playing the ostrich, in all of this, in a role that, basically
more news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Turns your meals into a masterpiece.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste. Hey, come cook with Terra Cubes. Come cook with Terra.
guy, what's the problem?
I haven't been able to sell that property.
Then go and register it free at hermes.ng online property platform and sell it sharp.
Really?
Yes, so hermes.ng is a Nigerian real estate platform where everybody buy and sell properties nowadays.
What's the website again?
www.homers.ng. Hermes.ng online property marketing platform.
The first week of I Beg to Differ Season 8 is over, with 16 more players left in the playoffs. At 4 p.m. on Monday, Shulamite Ikenna and Abel Unisa face off on the topic, should cultural heritage sites be protected during armed conflict? And at 5 p.m., Mwago Olachi Vanessa will face Ochia Odibe Charisma. Their topic is, state governors should not have immunity cover. So far, 8 debaters have advanced to the round of 16, and 8 more will join them in week 2. I am Yvonne Ohago. Join Femi Obon Daniels and me on Monday to unravel the first 2 debaters to progress to the round of 16 in the new week. I Beg to Differ Season 8. 32 debaters, now 16. 1 winner, 1 million naira. Sponsored by Tollywood College, supported by Biloxi, Obiwizi, Lucas Green Fashion, Card Center Nigeria Limited, and Quadros Group. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
Go for gold, Terra Gold Cube, the amazing seasoning cube. So when you're cooking your delicious meals, don't compromise. Go for gold.
Rich, consistent taste for cooking mouth-watering soups, stews, and jollof. Choose wisely. Choose Gold. Terra Gold Seasoning Cube.
1 cube, endless possibilities. Terra Gold.
Lagos, get ready for a powerful year-end edition of The Round Table. This is where Nigeria's biggest radio voices, your favorite top OAPs on Nigeria Info FM, come together to dissect the most impactful stories of 2024.
The cost of electricity is going to make Nigerians more sick.
As much as the governor is saying that this is all about resource control.
You see, this public statement, of course, reflects the Nigerian mentality.
And so here we have a Nigeria where one day you speak about fuel price, the next day you must consider diesel price.
Most of these governors are just there. They have no idea.
From seismic economic shifts to explosive social movements, nothing is off the table.
For 5 weeks, it was one bad story or the other.
You're beginning to wonder what's happening with government agencies. Who is ensuring that the individuals...
Why would the minister walk out of you? The state minister will resume to the same office the following day.
Join us for an intense conversation, bold insights, and moments that define this unforgettable year. The Round Table. Monday, November 25th at 9 a.m. It's the ultimate gathering of Nigeria's most influential voices, all bringing their sharpest takes on stories that matter. The Round Table. Don't miss this dramatic wrap-up on Nigeria Info FM, where 2024's biggest stories come to life. The Round Table. Let's talk.
Mom's love is pure. It's so no she does. Mom's special jollof puts a smile on your face. Mom's yummy fries cheers you up. Mom's tasty stews nourishes the family. Golden Terra oil, tasty. Golden Terra oil, nourishing. Golden Terra oil, Golden Terra soya oil. Golden Terra oil helps Mom pour her love in the tasty, nourishing meals she cooks for her family. Golden Terra oil, pour pure love.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Hard Facts.
Yes, it is Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are 30 minutes gone past the 3 o'clock hour, and we're still live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itimian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. My name is Maryann Okon. I still have joining me via Zoom Dr. Deji Awobiyide, and we're looking obviously at the wrongful, at this point, incarceration or almost incarceration of young children, minors. And before we went on that break, Deji was trying to explain to us, of course, if there will be consequences or if government at any point during the parade of these minors had broken any of the child rights law, because they said these were treasonable felons. Deji, over to you.
Right, thank you. So I was saying before the break that, of course, in the process of detaining those minors for over 3 months, and of course you saw that a lot of them were malnourished, the Child Rights Act guarantees that the welfare of children should be paramount. Their needs should be prioritized. So if you had children in your custody, even though you've tagged them as felons, who have committed treason in that regard, you still hold them a duty to take care of them, to feed them, to keep them healthy as children that they are. And even adults who are, anybody who's standing trial does not lose all rights by reason of standing trial because the person has not been convicted yet. So the human rights that are provided under the Constitution will continue to apply to such persons. However, in terms of going forward, I believe ordinarily that every person involved from top to bottom in this process should be dealt with. They should be caused to either face a panel to explain their role in this show of shame, because it's not just Nigeria now; it's been it's all over the world. So all of these actions need to be explained to the people as to how I did read the AGF say that, well, the president forgave those children or out of compassion.
Yeah, I do.
Yes,
I have the clip somewhere. I just can't find it. Yes, I wanted to play it so that everybody would hear him. That as a father with a heart. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So you see, all of this still tells. If you're going to run a democracy, you need to every attribute of a democratic government needs to be applied to the letter. You can't disguise as a democracy, and then basically now turn to an autocracy where you say, okay, I'm forgiving you people, let them go. If you feel that there's a case against them, the law does not say you cannot arraign or you cannot prosecute children when they commit offenses. That's why you have juvenile courts. And for treason, you have the Federal High Court, but you need to have investigated the offense and have your proof. So they can't stand trial, but they can stand trial in their respective states. Right? But the evidence needs to be clear. It needs to be such that they can have their own counsel to defend them. They can say whether they're involved or not, have their day in court. Nobody's saying you don't arraign them. But when you put together a show of shame like the way that we've done in that regard, you would see that everybody, from top to bottom, needs to answer questions as to how that happened. But again, don't forget, like I said, that there's always some politics at play in all of these things. And so you will hear the noise in the media about how we will take steps to deal with them to ensure that everybody is dealt with appropriately. But down the line, you won't have any action or any consequences for any such actions in the next few months. So everything just blows over as it does in Nigeria. And then we're on to the next story. Everything blows over and we'll just move on from there.
So with the calls that the NHRC is making, it's okay to make calls, but if the federal government, seemingly from what the AGF has said, which seems like they're wishing it away, they're just saying, okay, let's keep it moving. The president has forgiven them. Can we move on? What is the essence of these calls? Is there any likelihood that these cases will be pursued? Yes, kudos to civil society for pushing, but with the body language of this government and in the past 1 year, how they have, we also reference to the previous administration where they pick and choose what laws to obey. Is there any guarantee that anything will be done about the situation or until maybe another one happens?
Well, that's why I said that you can't disguise as a democracy. You need to be a democratic entity and apply the rule of law. Now, does the rule of law exist in Nigeria? If you ask the common on the street, absolutely not. If you ask me, I'll say no. Because you have selective instances where the rule of law is applied. So it needs to be such that everybody can see that the law is working and nobody's above the law. In a case where minors have been incarcerated for 3 months without, so in case of cases without food, and they've been paraded in the way they have been paraded, those minors should sue the government for violating their fundamental rights to dignity of human person, because they were made to suffer unjustly. Their rights were violated, so they can go ahead and do that. But for NHRC can make these calls that they've made, yes, but the willpower to follow through lies with the government. NHRC cannot sanction the officers involved, cannot find the policemen, cannot find every person who acted for government in that whole chain, from arrest to investigation to prosecution. All of that chain all of these persons who work for government. So it's still the same government that needs to bring down the armor on these officers. But can they really do that, knowing that they are the ones that send them on the errand? That's the big question. Can they really do that? So all of this is played to the gallery, saying we'll punish them, we'll discipline them, we'll do this. That's played to the gallery. You've seen that all over before. That tape is old. Because these persons work for the government, and they use the government's instrumentality to achieve all this objective up to this very point. Don't forget that they've sent a clear message by this action to other would-be protesters that if you protest, we cannot guarantee your safety. We can't guarantee your right.
Okay.
So what's going to happen to you? So
where does that leave us? Are we a banana republic? Are we? Because again, you yourself have asked and answered the question of whether we obey the rule of law, and if the government in itself is not willing to obey the rule of law and work with it, why do they want the average person to be subjected to that same law that they do not want to be subjected to? Secondly, where does that leave us as a country in terms of what we call a nascent democracy? Or are we just running around in circles? In a few seconds so that I can take calls. Deji.
Well, I think we're running around in circles because you will see something like this happen maybe in the next few months down the line, even towards the election. Because the reason for the protest, which is the hunger in the land, has not been addressed. Right now, we have hyperinflation. So the same reason why they protested is still subsisting. So what is it to say that you will not have a protest in December or in January or at any time when everything breaks loose? Because people are just basically managing. So as it relates to the rule of law and average person, I don't think that anybody in Nigeria understands that, those who are really not really obey the law. So everybody just does what they want. And of course, the blame lies squarely with our legislature, either in the House or in the combined House of Reps and Senate together, National Assembly. They are the ones who should take the bull by the horn and call the executive to account. But nobody's saying anything about it. They just go to the chamber at their own leisure, do a few things, and go on recess for 3-4 weeks and come back again, another jamboree. So, there are a lot of things to unpack about Nigeria's government and democracy. But I don't know. At this point, the people that we have elected as our reps who should speak for us are not doing a good job.
Great. Lagos, the conversation is open to you. You can join the conversation. Deji Awobiyide, who is a doctor, a law doctor. He's not a medical doctor. He's a lawyer. Has been, of course, helping us to make sense of this supposed sanctions that people are calling for against those who were behind the parading of these minors. And don't forget, the Child's Right Act is there, or rather, for reference. There's also the criminal code as it applies to the different regions of the country. And in all of this, from this conversation, it looks like government broke the law. But government is also trying to sweep this under the carpet as opposed to making heads roll. But if we were to make heads roll, what heads are going to be rolling? Here's Femi Falana one more time before the phone lines are open. 0201 2770993 if you're male, 0201 2770993 if you are lady, 0201 465 7190, 0201 465, I beg your pardon, 7190. On WhatsApp it's 08095975805. You can join the conversation. We're live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. We're live on Facebook, Nigeria Info FM. Post your comments. But let's take a listen to what Femi Falana had to say quickly on this issue, and then we're back to the phone lines. Take a listen.
If you don't believe me, go out there. Any hotel out there. Host flag of United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, all of them, because they want to look international. Some churches in Nigeria believing erroneously that Israel is a Christian country host the flag of Israel. So it's not a criminal offense to host a foreign flag. So the government may now want to say, oh, can we go back to the drawing table? Oh, did you make a mistake? Right?
What about those inscriptions?
Right.
The government must go, and those are some of the pictures
you
there.
See, when you say, again, Sheung, that is not treason. That's the issue. It's not treason.
When a democratically elected government is being asked to leave office.
No, if a democratically elected government is asked to leave office, yes, in some cases it might say they're expressing their views. The army did very well. The armed forces did very well by coming out to say, we are not going to involve ourselves in the removal of the president of the country. We are loyal to the constitution. We are loyal to the president. That was the end of the matter. It is the government now that is trying to remind people, oh, some Nigerians are asking the Bola Tinubu administration to pack up. No. Government should have ignored, and then address the issues that led them to the street.
What about the looting?
Let's talk. I keep harping on the fact that government has tactfully taken us away and attention away from the reason why Nigerians actually filed out into the streets. What was it? Hunger. Are we no longer hungry? Well, that's not the case. But we're still talking about treason. Let's join the conversation. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Turn off your radio.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Joseph calling from Badagry Houses.
Go ahead.
Yes, please. I just want to ask a question. Were those boys with arms? Are they on uniform? Are you hearing me?
I'm listening. Go ahead quickly.
The guys, they are telling us that we don't have a right in this country. Hunger. A hungry man is an angry lion. Let them be doing what they are doing now. It's good, okay for them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. Unfortunately, I cannot take too many calls. I have some guests coming into the studio right now. So, Deji, I have to say thank you to you quickly before I let you go. Deji Awobiyide is a doctor. He's a doctor of law at the University of Lagos. Thank you so much for coming to the show. This conversation has to continue. We cannot not continue this conversation because what it's harping on is, of course, hunger, the cost of living crisis, and we cannot not have this conversation. So I will be very glad to bring you back into the studio to have this conversation, Deji. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, great. Well, Lagos, we'll leave it at that. We'll come back to have this conversation. I'm going to have a continuation, hopefully, maybe on Wednesday with Enough is Enough. We'll talk more about this issue, and then you can also have an opportunity to chime in. So let's take a quick break. My guests already sat in the studio, and of course, we'll go on to have a conversation with them. Stay with us. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's